What's up, kids? It's Caleb here from Glyph, and this is a new series I'm starting on my channel called Sega vs. Nintendo. And in this series, we're going to talk about a few games for each system and see which system had the best version of the game. In this particular episode, we're going to be doing licensed games. That's right, games that are either licensed for a film or for a cartoon franchise. So here it is, and without further ado,
Sega vs. Nintendo. Aladdin. Who can forget this movie from Disney, starring Robin Williams, the extremely hilarious and likable genie. In the movie Aladdin, a simple street thief turned unlikely hero must stop the evil sorcerer Jafar from obtaining the magic lamp and releasing the genie to do its evil bidding. This is still one of my favorite Disney movies to this day, and I find all the trailers for the remake disturbing at best, but I'm sure I'll give it a watch and see for myself. I was really excited as a kid and owner of a Sega Genesis to see that there was a game based on one of my favorite movies at the time. So my dad let me rent it from the video store, and I took it home and popped it in my system to hopefully have an amazing experience. Wow, was I right in assuming it was going to be good, because it sure was. The game right away showed me it had all the charm of the movie and then some. Greeted by a hilarious, albeit somewhat violent intro animation from the genie, the game starts you out in the streets of Baghdad, just like the movie. Aladdin looks exactly like he should and animates with amazing fluidity. There are 3 distinct moves at your disposal right off the bat. You can throw apples, you can attack with your sword, and you can jump. The game controls like a dream, and within minutes you are traversing the game with ease, jumping off rooftops, attacking enemy guards, sword fighting, and throwing apples. There are various enemy types, each with their own unique moves and animations, and they all look amazing, and some of them are directly from the movie. Loads of collectibles, and even an occasional merchant to purchase certain useful items. The game's music is perfectly appropriate, and some of it comes directly from the film. Just listen to this grooving piece. The game offers quite a challenge in the later levels, and it was really fun to play, and it still is to this day. And that's why Aladdin was in my top 10 Sega Genesis games for a reason, and it still holds true as one of the very best games for the system. The Super Nintendo version of this game may have the same name, but it is not the same game. This game was actually developed by Capcom instead of Virgin. And that being said, the game itself is very high quality and very well made, but it is also extremely different. The music just doesn't sound right. There's something wrong with it. Aladdin's sprite seems really small, and one of the worst things about this game is he doesn't have a sword. There's no sword in this game. The gameplay is still really fun. The action is tight, the controls are tight, the level design is good, the music is passable. The graphics are definitely the weaker of the two versions, lacking a lot of the animation. The game overall seems a lot less imaginative. It seems more like a cash grab based on a giant franchise. I really feel there's no need to even play this version of the game when the Sega Genesis version is so much better. I guess if you only had a Super Nintendo, this version would be okay. But for that reason, I feel sorry for you Super Nintendo owners, because there's definitely only one clear winner between these two games. Winner, Sega.
For the next game in this video, we're going to take a look at a franchise you would think could do no wrong, as I usually say. We're going to take a look at the game Batman Returns for both Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. Batman Returns was a Tim Burton film, and it was a sequel to the original movie Batman. Both movies are absolutely awesome for 2 completely different reasons. They have very different tone, but definitely share a very similar connected universe. In Batman Returns, Batman finds himself facing off against 2 villains, the Penguin and his disgusting nastiness, and Catwoman and her awesome sexiness. Let's see what both games look like on either system and see which one is the clear winner. Batman Returns on Sega Genesis did a few things right, but one of those things is not the way Batman looks. Batman is purple in this game. In fact, almost everything in this game is purple. The graphics in this game are extremely grainy, even through a CRT. The music in this game is really grating and has that twangy, low-quality Genesis sound that gave the Sega Genesis sound hardware a bad reputation. The gameplay in this game is interesting. You traverse multi-planes of each level, going left to right, using a grappling hook to get to higher levels in the game. The controls are a bit convoluted and quite cumbersome. They're really hard to wrap your head around, but they do work once you get used to them. The action in this game is pretty lame. You can punch and use secondary weapons like your batarang and grappling hook and a few other things, but the game overall just has a really wonky feel to it and just seems really low quality. I will say the game tries to follow a lot of the movie storyline elements. You fight Catwoman and you fight Penguin in this game, but overall the game is just not very fun to play. It's kind of a chore score, and I've talked about this game on a previous episode on my channel, and I really don't like this game. Again, the controls are really weird, the graphics are pretty ugly in this game, and Batman is purple. Why the heck is Batman purple in this game? I've gone back and played this game quite a few times, and it's really hard to actually have fun with this game. Just when you think you're getting somewhere, you die. This game is really hard and very unforgiving. I really don't recommend playing Batman Returns on Sega Genesis unless you either have a morbid curiosity or you just like punishing yourself with incredibly difficult games based on really bad control schemes. Now, the Super Nintendo version of Batman Returns is a proper decent beat-em-up. This game really surprised me as a kid, and I'm actually still to this day really impressed with this game. In fact, in my opinion, this game doesn't really get a lot of notoriety, even though it's a really competent beat-em-up, and it definitely is a lot more fun than the Sega Genesis version. In this game, you beat the crap out of every enemy that comes in front of you. It's a lot like Streets of Rage, or even Golden Axe, or any other beat-em-up in that way. Yeah, I mean, there's a million games like that, but this one you get to play as Batman. The music in this game is great, the controls are perfect and tight, they're simple, there's enough to do in this game that makes it fun. I like all the enemies because they really are actually the enemies from the movie, which is really cool. Like the Penguin Street Gang, like those creepy circus people. This game is actually really fun. Batman Returns on Super Nintendo has good music, it has good gameplay, and has great graphics. There's obviously only one clear winner here.
Winner, Nintendo. Jurassic Park was a cultural phenomenon. Based on the best-selling book by Michael Crichton, Jurassic Park was an amazing movie about dinosaurs and survival, and lawyers being eaten. The film stars Sam Neill as Dr. Alan Grant, Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum, and Newman? Newman. Needless to say, like every kid in the world, I thought dinosaurs were cool. And this movie definitely made dinosaurs even cooler. And I have to say that this movie, in my opinion, is still the best out of the entire series, including the new ones. That T-Rex was terrifying in this film. It's a little to no surprise. There was a lot of marketing for this film, a lot of toys, a lot of lunchboxes, a lot of everything. But more importantly, there were video games based on one of my favorite movies. And of course I had to play them. So which one is better, the Sega Genesis version or the Super Nintendo version? I know a lot of you are going to disagree with this, but I really like Jurassic Park on Sega Genesis. I know it may just be the nostalgia. Maybe it's the first Jurassic Park game I ever played. Maybe it's the first game with dinosaurs I ever played that I actually liked. But either way, I had a lot of fun playing this game, and I still do. Now, I know this game isn't perfect, and I know this game is really ugly to look at. The sprite work is very pixelated. The background is almost entirely indiscernible. But the gameplay is fun. In this game, you play as Dr. Alan Grant, and your goal is to survive. In order to survive, you have to pick up lots of different items and dispatch dinosaurs in different ways. Most of the dinosaurs from the movie make it into this film, which is really cool. From what I understand in this game, the main goal is to evade the velociraptor that's chasing you. And it really isn't very easy, because the game itself is quite buggy. In fact, there's weird endless loops in this game on stages that don't make any sense. There's instant death by pitfall. The controls are very wonky. The music is bizarre, but I kind of like it. It's very bass heavy and definitely gives you that jungle vibe. The graphics, again, are not the best, and I totally understand that. It's a relatively short game. It may be riddled with bugs, but I had a lot of fun playing this game. Jurassic Park on Sega Genesis is not that bad of a game, but for me, this is my favorite Jurassic Park game, and I totally admit it could be entirely nostalgia, and I know most people that watch this will completely disagree with me and think this game is crap. You can let me know in the comments below if that's what you think. Whoa, almost forgot something else about Jurassic Park on Sega Genesis. There's a different player you can play in this game. It's the Velociraptor. Yeah, you can totally play as a Velociraptor in this game, and that is freaking awesome. You can eat dinosaurs and attack guards and jump obscenely high. As a Velociraptor, your whole purpose in life is to hunt and destroy Dr. Alan Grant, the oppressor of all free dinosaurs. I loved this when I was a kid, and I still love it now. It's like a totally different version of Jurassic Park, and it's really fun. I love eating these little tiny dinosaurs and destroying guards with my razor-sharp raptor claws. I don't think you can do that on the Super Nintendo. Jurassic Park on the Super Nintendo. What is this? What were they thinking? What people in what boardroom decided that this was a good idea for Jurassic Park on the Super Nintendo? An overhead perspective? I mean, I guess it could work. It worked in Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. This is not Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past here. This is Jurassic Park. And what's really bizarre is it's really hard to even get through this first gate. This is one of those instances where the entire game feels like you're playing some kind of simulation, some kind of stress simulation, where it's almost impossible to have any fun. In fact, I think fun was not part of the equation when they were programming this, because I certainly did not find any hidden here. What's even more bizarre is when you finally figure out how to get through the gate and enter into the next part, you go into these buildings and it switches to a first-person perspective, where it literally becomes a slideshow. That's right, the frame rate is so low here that it couldn't be fun for anyone. And this would be very disappointing to any kid that got it for Christmas, took it out of the box, popped it into their Super Nintendo, thought they were about to have this awesome, like movie, Jurassic Park experience, or hell, even have a game that was competent and enjoyable to play at any level. The music is kind of cool. I do dig that. The controls, for what it is, it works, but no, this is not anywhere close to being as good as it should be. And I mean, it's pretty hard to admit this, but this is definitely not fun. You may disagree with me, but the Super Nintendo version of Jurassic Park is terrible, unplayable, unfinishable, unworthy of its name. I would feed this game to a Tyrannosaurus Rex, wait for it to poop it out, and then feed it to the Compiosaur. This is just not a fun and enjoyable game. I say there's no competition who the winner is between the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis version of Jurassic Park, and that's pretty sad to say, because neither game are necessarily good by modern day standards, or even the standards for back in the day.
Winner, Sega. Well, kids, that about wraps it up. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sega Genesis versus Super Nintendo. It was certainly a lot of fun to make, and I plan on doing some more of these type videos in the near future. If you have any suggestions as to games that I should look at to this capacity, let me know in the comments below. And if you like this video, smash that like button. Again, comment below what you think about everything we talked about in this video. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, if you just stumbled across it, please, by all means, subscribe. There's a lot more content coming soon, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye!